Hi, my name's Charlie King. I'm with Heroic Fatherhood, and welcome to the Mentor's Moment. In this segment, we answer questions from real dads seeking advice, insight, or a new perspective on some issue they're dealing with in your life. In today's question, a dad asks, what's the best entrepreneurship or business advice for children? This is such a great question. Now, you may have a budding entrepreneur in your home, somebody who's excited about the idea of working for themselves, making a little money to buy toys or go see movies or buy ice cream. I know I have those in my house as well. My 14-year-old, for those of you who've watched my videos, you know this, my 14-year-old has his own mowing business, so I'm a big fan of entrepreneurship for kids. My first thing is invite your child, if they don't know what they want to do, but they want to get into something on their own, is find out what they're interested in. It doesn't make sense for kids to jump into entrepreneurship for something that they don't like, because they'll burn out and give up pretty early. So make sure that it's something that they're excited about. For instance, my son was hounding me as of about age 7 that he wanted to mow lawns. He just loves engines and he loves being active and being outdoors. So mowing for him was a perfect way to jump in. The next thing I'd say is have your child start small. Have them figure out one service or product that they can provide, just one, that would make a difference for people. Now, they're going to need some insight around this because they'll have their perspective about what people need, but you as the adult or parent are certainly going to have some more insight. Now, they're going to need you as a mentor. They're going to need you as a coach a little bit to help them do this. If you're an entrepreneur, this will come naturally. If you're not an entrepreneur, a lot of it is just common sense. You want them to start small, come up with a specific service or product that they can provide, and put a price on it. And make sure to value the product accordingly. You want to make sure that they are not promising too much or too little, and charging too much or too little. Because if a child ends up finding that they're spending 3 hours of very hard work doing some product or service for somebody, but they're only charging $10, that can be frustrating, and people are really happy to pay kids real money. I was surprised by finding out that so many adults were excited to pay a young teenager, even a tween, adult-type prices for mowing lawns. They didn't have any problem with it. They were just excited to see young people who are out being entrepreneurs. So it's a benefit that kids have in their entrepreneurial endeavors. So if you're having a conversation with your child about what they might do for entrepreneurship, is ask them about what they love. Now, you're going to know what they like. You know, maybe it's something around computers, maybe it's something around crafting, maybe it's something around something that they like to do in the house. It just comes naturally to them and they seem to enjoy it. You might ask the question of your child, well, what of this seems like it's valuable that somebody might need? Now, you'd be surprised how many kids out there say, you know, I see adults all the time, or I see kids all the time really struggling with this and they don't know how to do it and I'm helping people with it all the time anyways. Or, you know, whether, you know, it could be anything from mowing lawns to helping filing to just doing general maintenance work to selling candy to kids at school because the schools are not selling candy anymore. It could be doing laundry for sports teams because sports teams, you know, struggle to keep kids in clean laundry. There are lots of different things that kids could do. So whatever that thing is that they're super excited about, ask them the question is, how could we make money at this? What's that thing that you do so well that people lean on you where you could make the difference and you can provide some value for them? Now, here's a heads up for mom and dad. Your child is going to need support. They're going to need a fair amount of it, especially getting set up. They're going to need some mentorship and some guidance. They don't know anything about customer service. Their experience of life is super small. And we want this to be a win for them. And part of that is understanding what people expect when they hire somebody, especially if your child is going to be marketing a service to adults. Like my son markets a service to adults, people who pay for lawn mowing. So he has to know how to communicate with adults. And that means we have to teach him the rudimentary pieces about customer service and follow up and asking if he's doing a good job and making sure that the customers are happy. And that's a little bit of a tall order, and it takes a little bit of training, a little bit of practice. But you'd be surprised how quickly it starts to gain momentum, and you're building these incredible life skills that will serve them for the rest of their lives. The next piece, and I think this is critically important, is they need to make sure to write things down and track their expenses and income. These are really important things. I find in our home, we really like to track on paper. So my son has one of those composition notebooks, and on every page of the notebook is a client. He's got the client's name, their address, their phone number, their email address. They have the instructions specifically about what the client's most important things were, like make sure to weed whack around my garden beds, but don't cut my flowers. Plus how much they quoted them, exactly how much they charged them, when the last time they mowed that person, so they keep a little spreadsheet of I mowed them on these dates, and were they paid, so that they can track. They have the customer information. It's a paper-based CRM. They've got all the customer information, they've got the dates that they provided service, and whether they'd been paid for them. This is a great way for both you and your child to keep track of the business as it moves forward, because kids often say, oh, no, don't worry, I'll remember. But the reality is that all of our memories fail. And this isn't your full-time job, and it's not theirs either. So it's easy for both of you to become confused, like, did they pay for that? Have we mowed that person in a long time? Right, so it's definitely something you want to write down and keep tracking, and put it in your calendar to be checking back every couple of days. How's that project going that you're working on for Mrs. Smith? Or, how's your inventory of candy that you're reselling? Or whatever the thing is. And lastly, I think there's this huge value in deciding what you want to use your money for first. I'll give you an example. My son, at the beginning of every season, is always like, I don't think I'm gonna do the mowing thing again this year. I just, it's too much work. I don't really want to do it. I'm not very excited about it. And so we start having a conversation. It's because it is a lot of work. He sweats his tail off. He drinks a lot of lemonade, and it's hard work, and he's tired when he comes home, and he's dirty. So we often have a conversation is like, well, what would make it worthwhile? What would you like to do with the money? Now, in our household, we're a big fan of doing experiences more than items. We don't mind if my son buys items, but we'd like him to save towards a big experience. Now, the big things that he has purchased over the last 3 years is the first year he purchased going to dirt bike school and buying his first dirt bike. So that was 3 years ago. 2 years ago, he bought a ticket to fly to Mexico City and go to see a Formula One race, for which, of course, I had to go with him because I'm his adult, which was awesome. And this past year, he scaled way back on his mowing. He wasn't as available as much because of sports. But what he ended up purchasing was a weekend of snowcat snowboarding with me in British Columbia. These were amazing events. These were memories of a lifetime for both him and I. And I couldn't possibly more support this, because this was something he paid for his part. And he earned it, and I really think that he made the most of it because of that. So this has been a great question. Thanks for asking it, and keep them coming. So now, if you've watched this video, I have a question for you. How would you have addressed this dad's issue? Do you have a question that you'd like to ask? And if you like this video, consider checking out other questions dads have asked. And lastly, remember, we become better men by spending time with good men. This has been Charlie King, and this has been the Mentor's Moment.